On today's episode of Taking Care of Business, we're going to be talking about the impending interest rate cuts that are coming from the US.
I actually see more increases because of interest rate rises. When's it going to stop? When's the market going to reverse?
We're going to be talking about the summer statistics and sales that have happened.
There has been 3.43 million people return to Dubai back over the summer or come into Dubai over the summer, which is wild.
What I've come to realise about the people that leave Dubai in the summer is, and I didn't know until you had kids, the economy is quite dictated by the children's breakup time and also what to expect from the property market in the final half of 2024.
Q4 is always tremendously busy. What do you think the rest of this year looks like?
So I think if I was to give you a forecast, another 3 to 5% by the end of the year would be a healthy, a very healthy output by the end of the year.
Yeah.
Tune in to watch.
Summer is nearly over. Dubai is still very hot. This week on Taking Care of Business, myself and Lewis are talking about all things that have happened over the summer. With some big news stories about Dubai's GDP growth, some new laws which have come into place which we're due to talk about with regards to anti-money laundering. And we're actually only 2 weeks away from the next federal rate review, which we expect mortgage rates to come down. And will that give the Dubai property market an injection in the arm?
Well, it's not a much needed boost, is it? It would be another boost. It'd be like taking your vitamin C. You know, I'm done. And then I have another vitamin C.
Yeah. And then some orange juice afterwards.
You can never have too much vitamin C.
Well, rightly so. So 2 weeks, into 2 weeks' time, I think 17th of September, put that on your calendar, the Fed rate review. There's already suggestions to say that the decline in rates will start to happen. We don't know how fast that will be, but we honestly believe that will have a little, I guess, a bit of a shot in the arm with regards to the marketplace. What impact will that have, first and foremost, talking about mortgages?
Yes.
Not just someone's repayments, but how will it impact someone's ability to be able to afford in terms of purchasing power?
I think that's let's call it the underbelly of the decrease in interest rates. Basically, if anyone has this is a breakdown for anybody looking to understand the interest rates, it's just the repayments is one factor. So if your interest rates decrease 0.25 or 0.5%, that will naturally decrease the amount of money you spend on a monthly basis. But what that also does that people don't really publicise is that it makes your affordability more, meaning that you can lend more money from the bank because they have something called a debt burden ratio. We'll go into detail a bit more, but basically they'll take a certain amount of money you can lend against a certain amount of money that you can your income is. So effectively, not only is your repayments less, but also your property value will increase.
Yeah. So what we said about 2 years ago is when the rate started to increase, it affected someone's purchasing power by nearly half. So someone was purchasing a property at 5 million. Their purchasing power probably decreased to nearly 3.2, 3.3 because their payments increased that much. So we don't expect rates to come down as fast, but I think certainly the next 6 months we'll see several rate increases, and it'll be interesting to see what it does to the marketplace.
Yeah, I think, look, the stress test is what people do. The banks will look at a person's ability to loan, and if there's less money required, they will lend them more money. So I think it will have a positive impact. I think what's important to know about mortgages are the underbelly, and they are quite a big part of the Dubai real estate market. And the reason I say that, if you go back to 2 years ago when the world closed down, or 3 years ago, I think it was now, people didn't really talk about the fact that how they stimulated the property market is they decreased the loan to value and made it more easy to lend money. And when it makes more easy to lend money, there's tenants that become buyers, and the buyers go on and rebuy, and it just puts that shot in the arm, the vitamin C in the market. So I think it's only going to be a good thing for this market.
You often say, and you say it every year, and you said it again, I think LinkedIn a couple of weeks ago, when there's lots of cars on the road, you don't moan and complain. You know, you see that every person as a tenant, landlord, buyer, whatever it might be. There has been 3.43 million people return to Dubai back over the summer or come into Dubai over the summer, which is wild.
I was just in London a few weeks ago, and believe it or not, I'm standing in JD Sports of all places, and I'm getting the kids some school trainers.
You know, there's actually JD Sports open in Dubai Mall.
I know, yeah. It's next to where the big football place is in the corner, the ski place. And anyway, so I'm in their JD Sports, and someone was talking about their kids, and I went, "Oh yeah, you've just been on holiday. Where have you been?" He went, "I've been to Dubai." And it's mad, isn't it? People go to Dubai when it's like 45 degrees outside still. So Dubai is a 360 environment for people to go on holiday. You know, so this 3.6 million people coming in, this is a bucket of people that are coming back to live. There's a bucket of people going on holiday, but what you're finding is Dubai is just a destination that people go to.
Just go to show that if 3.43 million are coming back into Dubai, how many people leave over the summer as well and come back? Like they take their breaks in Europe or wherever they might be. Obviously, it'll be a combination of new people and people returning from their holiday. So,
what I've come to realise about the people that leave Dubai in the summer is, and I didn't know until you had kids, the economy is quite dictated by the children's break-up time. Because no matter how much money you've got, if your kids go to school, you have to take them back to school.
Yeah.
So I think you see in the last couple of weeks, people are coming back, and what that showed is that the roads are busy again, which means more tenants, more buyers.
Yeah. So there was a report come out at the start of this year. Dubai's GDP's grown by 3.2%. For anyone that's not sure on that, Dubai as an economy, its gross domestic product, things that are sold within country, is up 3.2%, which is really good reading. And that's reaching over 115 billion dirhams. So economy is growing, which is good. And the same report suggested that overall real estate, this is not indicative of the property market, but overall real estate grew 3.7% as well. We know in whether it's rentals or sales, the number is actually a fair bit higher than that. But the signs...
Is that in transactions or is that in
overall value in this report? Yeah, overall value. So, we're seeing it as, early double digits so far this year, and it can change from property type and area and lots of different factors. But
GDP is an interesting one for people listening, really, because GDP is obviously the revenue for the city and the country that it generates, and specifically for Dubai. And I think one of the biggest things, the misconceptions people have, is that Dubai is oil-backed. And the amount of people that I hear, not so much anymore, what are you going to do when Dubai runs out of oil? Like the GDP for oil in Dubai is, I think it's less than 5%. I think it's 3% or something crazy like that. Dubai is built heavily on tourism and new people moving to country and new businesses setting up. And with new people moving to the country, it creates that GDP increase that we're looking at.
Definitely. We've talked about many, many, many times millionaire migrants. So it was a survey done not so long ago with regards to British and French millionaires, and 21% of them actually suggested that the UAE would be their next location. And actually, 48% of these people said that their recent elections, which UK and the French elections were hotly contested, not so much the UK, but there was a change in government, where after the change in government, they've said, I'm a celebrity, get me out of here. I want to leave my home country because of the change. And
what do you think of elections? What's your thought process of them versus how Dubai runs their city? What do you think of elections?
I think the idea of everyone having a say of how the country should be run, in theory, is pretty good. But you look at the elections now, and we would talk about Trump versus Kamala Harris. Actually, it's not what's best for the country. It's who can say the right things that people want to hear and say the bad things about there. Because it's a bit like a popularity contest, unfortunately. Yeah. And you see some of the things online. There's so much misinformation going out online now that people are actually seeing it and reading it. So,
what about the UK?
UK, the Conservative
because
government.
Is it Keir Starmer?
Because it's Labour government are in now. Don't get me wrong, I've not been in the country for 16 years, but the Conservatives lost that election. They didn't lost it themselves. Not Labour really won it. So I think Labour were probably the only alternative to a really poor Conservative government last 10 years.
Do you know my theory on politicians as a whole? And this includes prime ministers and this includes presidents of America. Outside of the UAE, these people are employees of the country and they do what's good for them. And what I find mad, there was someone talking about in a podcast recently, people go in there with a little bit of wealth in that job.
Yeah.
And when they leave...
Well, they get far more wealth when they leave.
Extraordinarily wealthier.
Yeah.
What does that say about the honesty and the integrity of the job? You know, I don't know. I just look at Dubai and as much as people can say what they want about Dubai worldwide, when there's a ruler of the country and the city that is putting it with their best interests first, you can see it in the citizens, the people that live here. The whole city is built for success and happiness. Like in Dubai, they have a director of happiness. Like I just think that what Dubai has right is incredible. And you know, I couldn't be a bigger fan of Dubai when you see the US and UK.
Politicians tell you tell you what you want to hear. At least whereas the Dubai government, not everything over the years has been popular, but one thing you do know is really where the direction it's going, and most of the time it's for the better of the people in the country. So I like being here.
People say that you're controlled. That's one of the things that I hear. They say, well, because I put on LinkedIn recently and I said, the reason Dubai is so safe is I have an Emirates ID, and my Emirates ID is linked to my tenancy, my salary, my company. You know where I live. You actually have to do a blood test. And people say, that's too much control. And it's quite interesting because there's a lot of people in the UK saying, actually, I would love that because it would give ownership to every person. Like if you went to the mall today and you slapped somebody around the face, on CCTV you have face recognition. Yeah. They'll know who you are. And within 2 minutes, they'll be able to go to your house if they wanted to. Do you think control in this environment is a healthy thing?
Reality is if you have something to worry about or you have bad intentions, of course you're going to be concerned about it. But for someone that lives a normal life and doesn't really want any animosity or issues, then it doesn't really bother me. You get on with it and you know what you can and what you can't do. And I think for most people, as long as there's guardrails, people are happy.
Sheikh Mohammed said last week in the press, he said something along the lines of, if a single woman is walking down the street at night time and she feels safe, she's in the Emirates. You can't put it any better than that, because I wouldn't walk down the street as a 6'5" male in London at night, let alone.
No. Off subject, Dubai and Abu Dhabi have been ranked the most livable cities in the Middle East. Thoughts? I mean, obviously there's not Saudi's on the up and up.
I don't think Dubai and Abu Dhabi right now are one of the most livable cities in the world.
In the Middle East?
In the Middle East, yes, not in the world. Yeah. In the Middle East, yes, because Dubai has its infrastructure. It's actually got a policy where it's bringing more greenery in and park life. And you can see it in the new developments where people are getting their own pools, splash pads, parks. There is so much that Dubai is doing right. So Dubai definitely sits in the GCC as the top. But if you go to somewhere like London at the moment, or Rome, or you go to these places where people have the capability to walk outside and the shops are outside and there's actually life outside in the summer, which we're hearing now. It's inhabitable, isn't it, really, being outside? So
yeah, I think walkability, like the Dubai is not in general very well pedestrianised. I don't think that's changing.
Correct.
Just being away from the summer, seeing the roads changing, the greenery, it's phenomenal, the rate and speed to go at. But
that's their goal, though, isn't it? I think they're trying to make everywhere cyclable and everywhere to get to within 30 minutes. And you can see with the road, I don't know if you've seen the road that's changed in Dubai Marina.
Yes.
So they've looked at it for there's too much traffic there, and they've created a road. And all of a sudden, imagine how long that taken England to create a road. Years of approvals.
Planning and even getting built.
Wild.
Yeah, what an incredible place.
We sound like we're like doing an advert
Dubai,
for Dubai. We love Dubai.
One thing that is worth mentioning is anyone involved in really any sort of business, particularly real estate or jewellery, the last couple of years has been quite a big focus on anti-money laundering. There's been a grey list, which Dubai has come up with. The UAE's come off the grey list. They're now tightening the controls and laws on anti-money laundering to be in line with the most part of the world. Which thoughts on that, and how do you think impacts business is moving forward?
If you take our business example, it's an attributed cost now for us as a business base, because we have to have an anti-money laundering team and a compliance team, and you have inspections, and we've got third-party companies doing checks on what we're doing to make sure we're doing it right. But I think it's the right way to go. If you want to go from that city that's not taken seriously as a business hub, and then all of a sudden you want to press a button to become it, you can. If you go back 10 years ago, Apple wasn't here. Tesla wasn't here. Some of the biggest companies in the world wasn't here, because whether it was the infrastructure of how a business is set up, bearing in mind 10 years ago you couldn't own a business, you'd have to have a local partner. That's now changed. And AML, I think what that's going to do with coming off the grey list and having an anti-money laundering policy, I think we'll find that there'll be more investment funds and vehicles coming to Dubai now that we have the legislation in place to show that this is a legitimate place to do business.
And I guess if anyone's buying or selling or renting a property, and any real estate company asks questions of you, whether it's KYC, unfortunately, That's part and parcel of the law now.
KYC meaning to anyone listening.
Know your customer.
It's the same thing they have on the gambling websites online, isn't it?
Know your
Do
customer.
you gamble more than once a day?
They call it gaming here.
Oh, gaming sorry,
license.
yes.
But this is the law. This is something we're expected to do now. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I think, listen, it's good. And, we know we're being inspected ourselves and checked to make sure we're doing the right things. So, yeah, it's another step forward.
The LD launches video service for foreign deals. Hallelujah. We've often talked about, we've bought multiple properties in the UK, and the fact that your solicitor calls you and says, are you ready to exchange and complete? You say yes, you don't need to be in the country. In some instances in Dubai, you still need to be here physically or have a power of attorney. By having now a video service, this should eliminate the requirement to be here, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm intrigued to see how it works. I mean, I've actually got to do a power of attorney myself this week for one of my properties. And I used to go to the Al Barsha police station and you queue up with a paper ticket with your passport copy and wait for that. And then you'd pay your money and then wait to get the POA printed. Now, when we do our POAs, and we must do at least once a month, it's a video call, isn't it? And you put your Emirates ID, you put it on the screen, and they say, this is you, Lewis, can you confirm it's you? They record the phone call, and they read out the POA to you, and you say yes, and then you get it. And I think having this in place for the POA has been amazing. The DLD, I've got questions about Dubai Land Department launching this, and I don't have the answers to it. Where is the money being held? How is the money being paid? Maybe it's for a cash-to-cash purchase, because if you've got a mortgage, obviously there has to be a bank involved, unless the bank are allowing that. But it's definitely a step forward of the same thing when I bought my property in London. Hi, Lewis. We've just completed. Congratulations.
RTA are building 140 new metro stations. Now, I spent a lot of time in London this summer. I said to my wife at the time, like, the tube network is a miracle.
You hated it when you said to me when you first came.
No, if you think about what's been achieved, it's incredible.
No, I mean when you went to London, you were like, I'm only getting taxis, but you now see the speed of
it's not just the speed. You actually think about all of them, how far it is underground, and the network and how far it reaches is amazing. And the fact that Dubai are bringing in 140 stations in the next 15 years.
I never thought you'd be a tube man, by the way. I thought you'd be like, no, I'm getting my Uber around everywhere.
Listen, don't get me wrong, 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock at night, rush hour, that's the place not to go on the tube.
It's very squishy. If you've got kids with a pram as well, it's quite a tight layout. But no, I think it's great. I think having these stations, I mean, the issue they're going to face, I think they launched one on Jumeirah Golf Estates, or they're launching one on Jumeirah Golf Estates. But to get to it, you've got to get in the station, then walk 10 minutes to the road. So I'm intrigued to see how the infrastructure will work, because in London, as an example, you walk in, you're in the street, and you're in like a bustling environment into different stations. So it would be amazing if they could get it to go to the springs and the lakes and these places where people live, to create that ecosystem of
they have to make Dubai more connectable. With all these new developments, not everyone drives, not everyone wants to drive, particularly with all the roads getting as busy as they are. So the fact they're doing that is amazing. 140 divided by 15 years. What's that? 15, 20?
12.
A year?
12.
12 a year?
Yeah, about that.
Incredible. Unbelievable. So what does the end of this year, what do you think the end of this year looks like for real estate? So for us, Q3, Q4 is always tremendously busy. What do you think the rest of this year looks like? Launches, property prices, what's going to happen?
I think the all honesty is, I think maybe as a buyer, you're probably bored of the amount of launches that have come out, because there's been so many launches that have come, and I've seen some incredible branded residences. And I think buyers now, they're taking their time to see what else is out there. That is in the resale market, the ready market, and the off plan. We're finding people that we're taking to 7 or 8 different developers to see what's out there. Now, the honest truth is that not all projects are selling out on the spot now. They are selling out, but you'll find they'll launch another phase for a little bit more money later on. So I think the things that people need to take into consideration is take your time when you're buying, and also look at market comparable data. Obviously, we've launched Data Hub by Allsop and Allsop. You'll find a lot of companies in the Dubai real estate market normally put their properties above what they're actually worth, and over time bring them down to what the realistic market value is. But look, the stats I look at, viewings last week were one of the highest of the year so far, and that's the first week, second week, third week of August. The buyer activity is there. So I think if I was to give you a forecast, another 3 to 5% by the end of the year would be a healthy, a very healthy output by the end of the year.
Yeah. I'm very much the same. I said on a podcast 2 weeks ago that any headwinds that we may have, I'm not even convinced that will happen. We are several years away from that. There's still not huge amounts of supply coming to the marketplace. You'll hear across all of our offices that getting property which is ready, available, and actually vacant is few and far between.
It's what the agents say to me. We need more stock. I'm like, well, I don't have the magic pill to give you stock. That is the market that you're in. Where we actually sell probably 60 to 70% of our properties, they don't even make it online. So anyone wants to understand real estate, basically we'd sign up a client that wants to sell their house. We'd tell them what it's worth. We'd get the form signed. By the time we've even taken the pictures, we've probably got a list of 5, 10, 15 people that are looking for that specific property, and we'd call them to view it. And honestly, we probably sold it by the time it's gone online.
Yeah. So I think anyone that is looking to buy, don't just rely on what you see online. It's very often that probably a lot of stuff you don't see is probably with the agent or the agency, and in particular us.
Yeah.
But I think there will be more launches happen. I'm aware of a few things that are going to be coming up after the summer, which will be happening in the next couple of weeks and couple of months. I still see more growth. I know it scares people because people are thinking, very often when I go to a gym or wherever it might be, people ask me questions, when's it going to stop? When's the market going to reverse? Sadly, I'm probably telling people the opposite at the minute, where I actually see more increases because of interest rate rises, because not huge numbers of supply come in the marketplace. So there is nothing to suggest it going backwards anytime soon.
I think Dubai now sits in the best city in the world, top 3. It's got to be in the top 3. I've been to most of the major cities in the world. Dubai now sits there. So whatever that price per square foot for New York, Paris and London is, it's pretty much where Dubai should be. And if it's not near there in certain areas, it probably will get there. Now, people have the fear of, oh my God, I'm priced out of the market. I can't live here. I've actually seen people on Brits in Dubai on the Facebook group saying that. And I don't write back to them because I don't want to get into an argument. But I'm just like, okay, you can't live in Marina anymore, but you can live in Jebel Ali and you can live in Dubai South. So that is now part of Dubai, and that's part of the next phase of affordability for people. And I think that's what people need to consider, is that you might be priced out of living in Tel Al Gaf today, but it doesn't mean you can't live in Dubai.
Yeah. Good. Well, look, we're back from the summer, a long break. You a very, very long break.
Okay.
So we will be having lots more podcasts for the next couple of weeks, talking about what's going on, a few special guests. Really good to be back. Last 4 months of the year, this is Taking Care of Business. We're out.